Honestly, I could care less if you make them or not. I just made this video so I can eat them again because they're the most amazing gluten-free dessert ever. This little treat is my single best food moment of my childhood. We went on a spring break trip to Lancaster, Pennsylvania, if that tells you anything about how riveting my spring breaks were as a child. But anyway, I got to experience a whoopie pie for the first time. I've been thinking about them ever since, and now I made a gluten-free version that I have to say is just as good as I remember them. I'm gonna show you how, and it's actually not that hard. So the cookie/kicky part is really easy and straightforward. You just combine a half a cup of oil, a half a cup of buttermilk. If you need a dairy-free recipe, you could use non-dairy milk and then just sour the milk with a little bit of vinegar. I would maybe use like 2 teaspoons. 3/4 of a cup of brown sugar, packed brown sugar, and then a teaspoon of vanilla. I'll just combine all that together. All right, plot twist. I forgot the egg. You need 1 egg. Well, let's add that too. Then we'll mix it again. So when I was developing this recipe, I went through some massive drama. I could not get my whoopie pies to spread. Turns out I cannot use my favorite gluten-free flour in it. Cup for cup doesn't work because it has a lot of cornstarch in it. So it makes them like too cakey and tall. So runner-up, King Arthur worked perfectly. So I recommend using King Arthur or another gluten-free flour that doesn't have cornstarch in it. Should work fine. So to this liquid mixture, we need 1 3/4 cup of gluten-free flour, a half a cup of unsweetened cocoa powder, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and then a half a teaspoon of salt. So this is a trick I use in my gluten-free chocolate cake recipe too. Instead of just adding regular water, I add boiling water to it because it helps soften the gluten-free starches so you don't get that gritty or ricey texture. So what I do is I boil my water, then just turn your mixer on low speed, and as it's mixing on low speed, slowly and carefully pour in the water. Once it's all in, then you can mix it for 1 minute longer. At this point, you could see what I mean by the batter. You need it a little runnier because you need it to spread. To scoop the batter on easily, I highly recommend using a cookie scoop, but you have a couple options. So I use the large scoop if you want those like traditional whoopie size pies, but you can also, I've also made them like a 1.5 tablespoon scoop if you want something more reasonable to eat, but that's up to you. This, I believe, is 3 tablespoons. So I just get a level scoop and then place it on. You want to just spread it into like an even circle. Place them about 2 inches apart so they have room to spread. Obviously, if you use a smaller scoop, you'll be able to get more whoopie pies than these larger ones. I was able to fit about, of the larger size, 7 per tray. So you'll get 14 cookies. You can make 7 whoopie pies with the bigger scoop. So once they're all divided out, then I'm just going to put it in a 350 oven for about 10 to 12 minutes. That's all it takes to bake. And while they're baking, then we can make the legit right filling you need for whoopie pies. The filling starts, you have to gently simmer some water, and then over it, I have a double boiler. I've also done like a metal bowl in there, or you can use 2 metal pans too, where you just do the bigger pot on the bottom, a smaller one on top. You don't want the water to be touching the bottom of the bowl. You just want enough to heat up what's in the bowl. And in the bowl is 1 egg white and then a half a cup of powdered sugar. And we're just gonna whisk that continuously. Don't stop whisking it for about 3 minutes. And why we're doing this is because the egg isn't pasteurized, and we just want to heat the egg enough until it's safe to eat because the filling's not cooked. And to be really sure, I use my favorite kitchen utensil and I just check the internal temperature with this, and it should reach 140 degrees. And once it reaches that, then you're good to go. The other reason why it's good to check the temperature, because if you overcook it, you'll cook your egg and then your filling won't turn out. So you just want to make sure it's heated up enough safe to eat, not cooked. So once your mixture has cooled a little bit for about like 5 minutes or so, then we're gonna finish off the filling. So I transferred this to a mixing bowl. You could do a hand mixer or a stand mixer with a paddle attachment, and then add a teaspoon of vanilla extract, another 1.5 cups of powdered sugar. And then mix that on low speed so you don't get flying powdered sugar everywhere. I hope I don't. I'm good. Once that's combined, we are going to add the secret ingredient, which is shortening. Just shortening. This is an Amish recipe, so they probably use lard, but this is what makes it so good. And notice there's no marshmallow in here, because marshmallow has no business being in whoopie pies. And I know I'm gonna get some hate comments about that, but I said it. There it is. Once the shortening's mixed in, then you're going to turn your mixer up to high for 4 minutes and just let it go for 4 minutes, because you want the filling nice and fluffy. This is like the filling of the inside of a Hostess cupcake or like a ding dong cake or something like that. This is the filling that makes the whoopie pies the best whoopie pies in the world. This filling, I can like swim laps in it. It's hard for me to make these things because I just keep eating the filling before they get on the whoopie pies. But when you're done with it, it should be really light and fluffy. I'm gonna get a big scoop of it to show you. So when your cookies are done, it's almost like a cake test. You'll wanna put a toothpick in it and make sure it comes out without any crumbs on it. Also, the tops will lightly crack and everything will definitely be set. Before you put the filling on, you want to make sure they're completely cool, because you don't want to put the filling on and then have it melted all over the place. So make sure they're cool before you make them into the most revolutionary sandwich ever. So take half of them and then just flip them over so the flat side is up. And then you're just going to take your cookie scoop again, scoop out the filling, plop it right on top. I go ahead and divide all the filling out first before I put the tops on, because you do not want to waste this filling. So you want to make sure it's all evenly divided. If you could go back and add more, there are 0.0 problems with having more filling in these. Okay, and then we're just gonna put the tops on. You just kind of find the top that matches the same size of the bottom. Just put the top on and just smush down a little gently. If you need to hear more about how good this filling is, I'm gonna tell you more. I also use it, I have a ding dong cake recipe and I have a giant oatmeal cream pie recipe that I use this filling in as well. Now, if you do not want to eat to the point of throwing up, so you want to freeze some of these freeze really well. I just put them on a baking sheet and freeze them like this, and then once they're solid, then I wrap them up in plastic wrap. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited.